Karoline the Liar Leavitt, who I've said on this show plenty of times, the fake Christian that she is. And I just think she's a phony and a despicable human being. So the blonde bimbo bitch, which I'm just going to call her what it is, that's exactly what she is. She's a despicable human being, just like a Laura Ingraham who puts that fake cross around her neck. Oh, I'm a good, wholesome Christian. No, you're not. You married the crypt keeper. Congratulations on that one. And you lie for Donald Trump, the other crypt keeper, on a daily basis. Listen, Karoline Leavitt, I'm just going to say this, okay? Karoline Leavitt would certainly do a twirl for Donald Trump, and I'm sure she would offer Donald Trump sexual favors if Trump threatened her job. She's that kind of person. I really believe that's who Karoline Leavitt is. I think she's despicable in every sense of the word. And she made an appearance on Sean Hannity's show yesterday because, of course, that's where they all go to. The Stephen Millers of the world, the Karoline Leavitts of the world, and those in Donald Trump's administration. They go to where it's safe. It'll be a Newsmax or Fox News. That's where Pam Bondi lives, by the way. I don't know how she has time to work. It appears as though Karoline Leavitt and Pam Bondi are on Fox News more than some of the anchors on Fox News are on Fox News. But listen to what Karoline Leavitt had to say about the economy and the history of the economy. Have a listen to this.
We had an economy that was left in the dust, but again, thanks to President Trump's pro-growth policies. And now we have the one big beautiful bill on its way to his desk. It's in the Senate now, being marked up and amended so it can go back to the House and then to the president ultimately for signature this summer.
So it is interesting, isn't it, that I remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Leonard, the economy that Donald Trump took over after Barack Obama left office, from what I recall, was a pretty strong economy. And correct me if I'm wrong, but back in January of 2021, it seemed to be in the toilet. And it seems to be a lot better, or seemed to be a lot better, in January of 2025. Am I wrong?
Well, they're not economic facts. The fact is the GDP growth is down and only expected to be 0.1 to 0.2% as we move along. Also, yeah, he might have lowered prices of a couple of things, but interest rates going back up to an all-time high. Houses, I don't know if you saw the article, but in Las Vegas, they're saying the housing is going back up, even though they promised it was going to go down and be more affordable. And so when you look at the economy, more people are using their credit cards than ever, more people are missing payments than ever, and more people are using their savings more than ever. That is not a good, solid economy.
And Karoline Leavitt, once again, lying. And I go back to Democrats versus Republicans when it comes to just the presidencies in history. And you look at what Bill Clinton did, and he left the economy and he left us with a surplus, and he was able to reach across the other side of the aisle. You can talk about his personal life all you want to, but as far as being fiscal responsible, there was nobody better in my lifetime than Bill Clinton. And then George W. Bush takes over, and a MAGA Republican gets us into an ill-advised war and puts our economy into the tank. Barack Obama takes over, and for the next 8 years, it took time for him to clean up the mess that the Bush administration had left. And Obama left Donald Trump a really good, sound, quality economy. And, you can say, well, Brian, it was COVID. You look at the unemployment numbers. It wasn't. You look at the unemployment numbers before COVID, and they were tanking.
It wasn't. It wasn't that at all. He added $2.2 trillion, Trump did, in his last presidency to the debt just by lowering the tax rate for businesses. If you recall, it went from, I believe, about 20% to about 15%, which was about $2.2 trillion.
Right.
When he left, it was up about $4 trillion. Now, so the payments on the $36 trillion debt that we have are $1.1 trillion. That's just the interest payments. And he wants to add another $4 to $5 trillion on top of that. Why? Just to give the billionaires more tax cuts while the hardworking people have to pay at the highest rates.
And listen, for those of you that voted for Donald Trump, you can say until the cows come home that you think Trump is doing a good job. But the bottom line is Republicans don't know how to govern. And when you look at our debt and you look at Republicans that have been in office for decades and you look at who has gotten us in deeper debt, it's obviously Republicans.
Over the last
it's 20
years,
close.
You can go back 5 presidents and it can show that consistently the Democrats save us money when they're in office and the Republicans spend. I would dare, I don't know if I can do this, but I would dare someone to call in and tell me the difference between a conservative Republican and a MAGA who's a MAGA or a conservative Republican, because we've talked to many of them. I don't think they know the difference.
No, I don't.
Because a conservative Republican could never agree with the policies that are coming out. There's no way.
I completely agree with you. So you have Karoline Leavitt lying about the economy and certainly what's been going on here in the last 10 years. Listen to what she says about electricians and plumbers last night. And somehow she ties that into the LGBTQ community because, of course, we know MAGA Republicans like to hate on transgenders, like to hate on people who are gay, like to hate on minorities. And for whatever reason, this was on the tops of the list for Karoline Leavitt to attack the gay community. Have a listen to this.
And the president is more interested in giving that taxpayer money to trade schools and programs in state schools where they are promoting American values, but most importantly, educating the next generation based on skills that we need in our economy and our society. Apprenticeships, electricians, plumbers. We need more of those in our country and less LGBTQ graduate majors from Harvard University. And that's what this administration's position is. And we also are not going to tolerate the illegal, criminal, anti-Semitic behavior that we saw take place at Harvard and many other college campuses across the country.
Yeah, Karoline Leavitt wants to talk about criminal behavior, yet she works for a guy who's a 34-count felon. I also find it interesting that in that little diatribe, she went on to attack the LGBTQ community. Leonard, why are MAGA Republicans so obsessed with people who are transgender and people who are gay? And why does she bring that up in this conversation?
I think that's part of the self-righteousness you find in the evangelicals and some of the Christians, because a true Christian doesn't, if you read the Bible, it doesn't hate it. They don't hate anybody. Everyone's your brother. Everyone's your sister. And while you can disagree with their lifestyle, you can't judge them for it. So if you're judgmental, that's probably going to work against you in the long run. I think that maybe some of them, and I don't have any personal knowledge of this, may have those tendencies. And so some psychologists would say they hate the part of themselves that feels that they would like to live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So they attack it.
It's really sick. It's disgusting. And Karoline Leavitt, again, is one of those fake Christians, despicable human beings that...
Let's invite her on the show.
Yeah, well, she's done this show before. I don't know if she'll do
Has
it
she
again.
really?
Yeah, she did this show last year. But, Karoline Leavitt is your typical right-wing evangelical Christian, white, wholesome woman who is married to the Crypt Keeper, by the way. And Leavitt is, simply put, an individual who will attack the gay community, attack minorities, call being gay a sin, when she is the best sinner of them all, if there is even a term like that. Now, this is also an interesting point of her appearance yesterday, because we keep hearing about all these deals and the art of the deal and all these deals that Trump is making, right? 90 deals in 90 days, which we know was a farce and a lie. She called the deal with the UK miraculous. I'm not making this up. Have a listen.
For the trade talks, since you mentioned them, I was just going back and forth with our United States Trade Representative Jamieson Greer, who informed me that the Trump administration continues to be in intensive talks with India, and the president, of course, has applied very public pressure to the European Union so that they, too, can have a miraculous trade deal just like we cut with Britain and our friends in the United Kingdom. So we continue to move forward in cutting good deals that put the American people and the American worker first.
Can somebody please explain to me, Leonard, or anybody, how this deal with the UK was miraculous? Can somebody please help me out with that? How was this deal miraculous? What was it that America got?
Tariffs. They came back and said, let's not do that. Let's work together. And so really it's a zero sum. Nothing got done. Nothing happened. Nothing changed. Nothing was instituted. And they were talking.
What was miraculous about it? Like, I don't understand. What was miraculous? She uses the term miraculous.
That might have been the word of the day.
You know what that's like saying? That's like saying when Donald Trump takes his shirt off, he looks miraculous. Is there any woman on the planet that would say that? I mean, listen, if you like male boobs, okay, and you like a hairy chest, maybe that's your thing. Okay, fine. I won't say I respect that, but that's your fetish. That's totally okay. But is there anybody that would say, I don't know, would Stormy Daniels say when Donald Trump took his clothes off and was on top of me for 13 seconds, he was miraculous in bed? No, that's like saying this deal in the UK was miraculous. It's the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. Miraculous.
If he imposed the sanctions on Russia, that might not be miraculous, but it would be close. If he decided to send arms to the Ukraine, and arm them and help them in the fight, that would be miraculous. But I think he has other plans.
Donald Trump is miraculous in the sack. Donald Trump is miraculous that he's only 1 pound under being obese. Isn't that interesting? 239 pounds. I'm sure there's no coincidence there. I'm sure he's 239 pounds. I think his left boob weighs about 200 pounds. It's just so stupid and it's so ridiculous. It's miraculous that people out there actually still support Donald Trump. It's miraculous that people out there think that Karoline Leavitt is doing a good job. It's miraculous that people think she's a good Christian. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is miraculous that there are so many stupid people in the United States of America that still support a 34-count felon adjudicated rapist. And then Karoline Leavitt goes to the Rasmussen poll. Now, as you know, Donald Trump had some of the lowest poll numbers in 70 years for the first 100 days in office, but she's going to go to this one poll that makes it sound like the country all believe that we're headed in the right direction. Have a listen to this.
That's right, Sean. There is good news today. Consumer confidence hit a record high, and also the highly respected pollster Matt Rasmussen showed that the majority of Americans view our country as heading on the right track under President Trump. This is a stark contrast to what that same polling showed under the previous disastrous administration led by Joe Biden. As for
I see. It's interesting, though, because Leavitt didn't talk about some of the worst poll numbers for the first 100 days in office with any president ever in the history of the country. But she's going to go to this poll, by the way, which I haven't seen. And I find it hard to believe that the majority of Americans think that the country's headed on the right track under Donald Trump. Again, has some of the worst numbers in
consumer
American
confidence
history.
is way down.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense.